Welcome back to A Timey-Wimey Pod, where we watch every episode of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards. My name's Rebecca,
I'm Haley.
and today we are discussing Series 15, Episode 4, Lucky Day.
Crazy that we're already here at episode 4, but I cannot wait to get into this episode with you because I have so much to say, and I know you do as well. But do you want to open up the pod by sharing some fantastic facts if you found any?
Yeah, I have some quick ones today. So this episode aired May 3rd, 2025. It was written by Pete McTighe, who previously did Kerblam and Proxius during the Jodie Whittaker era. And it was directed by Peter Hora, who recently did The Robot Revolution and did A Good Man Goes to War back in the day.
And he has taste. I hope to see him yet again in a future episode.
I'm quickly becoming Pete McTighe and Peter Horror fans. Just saying.
Me too.
So, one of Conrad's friends, Alfie, is played by Paul Jericho, who previously played the Castellan in Arc of Infinity and the Five Doctors in 1983.
Dang. So I'm loving that last season they brought in a classic who I don't remember what she was in. Was she a wardrobist? Maybe.
Yes. She was responsible for the scarf.
Oh, that's right. So I always love when RTD and really whoever's running the show decides to randomly bring back some people who were in classic Who. It's just a fun little touch.
Mm-hmm. The abandoned department store scene was filmed at Howell's department store, which is the same one that was blown up in Rose and is where everything began.
I recognized it immediately.
Yeah, that's why the director put mannequins everywhere as a little nod and to kind of subvert everyone's expectations and made everyone think the Autons were coming back.
No, I love that nod. I thought that was so fun, and it was a fun way to throw us off the scent.
Mm-hmm. And I thought they looked so cool in that scene with all the sheets covering them. It was very creepy. I loved it. So this episode explored something that I have always really been fascinated with, and that is what happens to the companions after they leave the TARDIS, after they're done traveling, what it's just like for them as people in their day-to-day, how you go from traveling the universe, seeing all these amazing but also horrible things to just going back to Earth. And I'm so glad we finally got an episode exploring that idea because that's a concept that has fascinated me for years and is something I always wanted to see explored more. And I'm so glad we finally got that here.
I completely agree. I feel like we got just a tad bit of a slice with 73 Yards last season, but I love how deep they dove into it. And I think they could have gone even deeper, but I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
Like you, I have also always wanted a storyline about what it's like for a companion facing an alien or facing a threat when the Doctor is nowhere to be found. I've always wondered what that's like when they're no longer traveling with the Doctor. And so to get that in this episode was really, really incredible. And the way this whole story is, it is heartbreaking and devastating for Ruby, but it brings up a very interesting conversation. And that's what I like about this episode is there's a lot of points that are made that create a lot of discussion. And that's what I've enjoyed taking out of this episode, even though Conrad is trash.
You guys, Conrad, we already have a new addition to the newly named club we invented last week. Hot angry guy with a gun.
Yeah, but at least with Cassio, I could be you know what? He's kind of tweaking, but that's okay. But
he's misguided.
Conrad is an ick.
Yeah. There's a scale to the hot angry guy with a gun category. You know, they're either just kind of misguided, they either come around at the end, or they're just completely trash and terrible, like Conrad.
Yeah. So, something I kind of want to touch on at the beginning of our episode here is the timeline throughout this episode, because I think it's important to
Mm-hmm.
clarify some things so there's no confusion. Because there's lots of timey-wiminess happening in this episode.
Very timey-wimey.
So, the first clip we see is 15 and Belinda with the Vindicator coming out of the TARDIS. They are on Earth in London. It's New Year's, and it is 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the Doctor and Belinda meet child Conrad. More on that in a little bit. And the Doctor gives him the 50p coin. Then we have Ruby for the remainder of this episode. And my best guess of when this takes place is the beginning of 2025, because she mentions that Christmas has come and gone recently.
Mm-hmm.
And she is now 20, which means her birthday was recently because her birthday's on Christmas Eve.
Right.
So I would guess it's around New Year's, just because it was New Year's 2007. Could have been the end of
It could be
2024.
March.
I
It
don't
could
know.
be early April. You know.
Yeah, it could be
We don't
end of
know.
2024, spring of 2025, somewhere
Mm-hmm.
in there. Definitely before, May 24th.
The world falls apart, I guess.
Yes. And then at the end of this episode, there's 15 in the TARDIS. This is 15 post Empire of Death, but before the robot revolution, because he has not met Belinda yet, but he is no longer traveling with Ruby. And then when Ruby and 15 are in the shop with the mannequins chasing after the Shriek, that is them post the Beatles. They literally just left meeting the Beatles.
I love that they added that detail so we know exactly where that scene took place.
Yes. So that's the timey-wimey timeline in this episode.
So my theory about the Doctor's timeline is that he saw everything with Unit go down during his year on Earth in Joy to the World. And so then once that all finished up and he got the TARDIS back, he was like, I'm going to pay that kid a visit. I'm going to go talk to that kid and make my speech. So that's my theory.
Interesting, because my theory was more that I don't know if Ruby herself would have called him. I could have seen Kate calling him, Shirley calling him, or pulling out a wild card. Cherry or Carla would somehow find that phone number and call the Doctor and yell at him to come deal with Conrad.
I love that theory, but I just don't think anyone, even Kate or Ruby, have the means of contacting him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but 15 did the fancy thing with her phone, so you would think she would be able to call the TARDIS.
I mean, maybe she could, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's either way, he found out and he read Conrad to filth. It was so good. But we should probably kind of focus on this episode chronologically before we get into that great moment.
So we start, like you already said, 2007. To put it in perspective, someone on Twitter pointed out that this is just days after Donna's wedding was ruined in The Runaway Bride. And that's just crazy. That's crazy.
Actually, insane and crazy to think about that.
Also, the casting for Child Conrad was so spot on.
Yeah. And I find it so funny how, well, it's just the timey-wiminess. And of course, this is how it happened. But Conrad's obsession with the Doctor was caused by Conrad's obsession with the Doctor.
Yeah. It's all very, very timey-wimey and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the Doctor's being so nice to him here. And then he turns out to be evil. Hello. I loved seeing Ruby and 15 again. Even just that brief scene. Seeing that duo again just made me so happy. They're so fun. They have such a great dynamic. I don't care what anyone says. I loved seeing them again.
I did too. And it made me honestly really miss them. They're just so fun to watch. And it was really fun to see them back in their outfits from last season. I live for that 15th Doctor outfit, by the way, with the stripes
Me
and the coat.
too. Yes, that's my favorite look. To me, that's his signature Doctor look. I love it.
Me too. And the scene of Ruby and 15 in the shop is very reminiscent of the scene of Rose and the 10th Doctor in Love and Monsters, which is another
Definitely.
Dr. Light episode. And I don't know, it felt like a fun little callback. And then with the nod to the mannequins, it's just like always fun to have like these very subtle references to past eras of the show.
This episode really is Love and Monsters gone wrong. Like, seeing Conrad, I was like, oh, can we go back to Elton and Linda, who are like not crazy conspiracy theorists? Like they're just, little detectives who have
Yeah.
their little band. Yeah, this is really like the flip side of that episode.
Yeah, it's actually crazy that this episode was making me miss Elton and the whole Linda
Mm-hmm.
crew and the Absorbable off. Do you know how bad this man has to be for me to want to go back to that?
He makes Adam from The Long Game look like a saint.
And
It's pretty bad.
pretty bad.
Millie Gibson looks incredible this entire episode. I love her little curtain bangs that she has. Her outfits look so good. I love the brown leather jacket that she wears in the beginning of this episode. What is your favorite Ruby outfit of the episode?
Okay, my favorite Ruby outfit of the episode is her at the end of this episode when she's at unit. I saw in an interview that Millie Gibson mentioned that that was also her favorite look because it reminded her of the 10th Doctor's like outfit.
I love that. That is a great look. She looks so good. My favorite is going to have to be in the village with the red zip up hoodie and the denim jacket. There's something about it.
You are so right. There is something about it. I have a question for you. Do you think, because obviously the Doctor had all of the knowledge back in 2007 when meeting Child Conrad, like he knew everything because of timey-wimey. How long do you think it took for him to realize it was that Conrad?
Maybe he still doesn't know.
I think he knew. I think he figured out as soon as Conrad said it was 2007 and 15 started turning around, and then he gave him the coin.
I don't think he knows.
You don't think he knows? I think he does.
No. He was being like so nice and friendly and so sweet. And like, of course he would to like any child, but no, I don't think he knows. And he looks surprised when he runs off. So no, I don't think he knows.
I guess we'll never know. This isn't like something they'll probably like bring up again.
I think it'll get brought up. I think we're seeing Conrad again.
We're for sure seeing Conrad again. I just meant like the child Conrad. I don't know.
Right.
If we'll see child Conrad.
No. We'll see. Stay tuned. So Ruby mentions, she has her mom and she has a new mom, long story. And then she says she also has a dad, which is an even longer story, and that this Christmas just gone was mad. What's the deal with her dad? How is that a longer story than the deal with her mom? Like, I can't believe we didn't get any new information about her dad.
No, having that just be a throwaway line actually makes me really upset because we left last season not knowing who her dad was. And some people, including me, thought that maybe there was like a storyline there. But if there's not, girl, just release the deets. Make your own podcast.
Yeah, do you think we're going to get something about her dad later this season? Or do you think they're just dropping that?
I think they're just dropping it. But, I hope that thread is carried through, but I don't know. I feel like there's so many things to this season that I'm really nervous. So I'm not waiting for it to get resolved. I'm not expecting for it to get resolved because I'm protecting my heart and my mind after Sutek and the pointless snow.
The snow. So I went into this episode thinking Conrad's gonna be bad. Like, we should not trust him. I even put a poll on our Instagram story, if you guys saw it. Do we trust Conrad? Everyone said no. And then I'm watching the episode and I'm like, no, Conrad's a good guy. He and Ruby are so sweet. I was fooled, y'all. I was totally fooled. And the plot twist got me. We'll talk more about that. But it was so nice to see Ruby meet someone and connect with someone and be able to talk about the doctor with someone other than her mom's. And I feel so bad for her because she says all her friends think she's crazy and that she's had some kind of breakdown. So Conrad really was the first person outside of her family that she could talk to and tell everything that she's seen.
Yeah. The twist also got me. I also went into this episode not trusting this man, and I was suspicious of him the whole time. I wasn't fully like pro Conrad, but I was warmed up to him. I did think it was, little bit of a red flag. He just had that one tiny earring. I'm sorry, that's a neck.
Oh, I
Also
didn't even
thought
notice the earring.
mhm. Also a red flag of how he was like instantly jealous of the doctor. Like, okay.
Mm.
But besides that, it was so nice to see Ruby warming up to someone and like able to confide in someone about these really difficult things that she's been going through mentally and emotionally that makes sense. Of course, she has PTSD, like any companion would after traveling with a doctor for any amount of time. And to have it all like twisted and turned back on her is so gut wrenching to watch. And
Mhm.
when it was revealed that Conrad like was evil, my mouth flew open because even though I wasn't fully on board with him, I did not expect that at all. Like he had everyone fooled.
Yeah, no, I was shocked, and Ruby's reaction is so painful, and how he says, it's been so hard having to get to know you. And like he doesn't even believe her, like all the things she's opened up to him about. And Ruby has suffered so much. Her trauma is so overlooked already.
It is, but I'm so glad that they brought up PTSD that Ruby, a companion, has because I feel like this is a conversation and like something that should have been talked about all the way back in RTD1, just because I think it's so interesting to, again, see what it's like emotionally without the doctor there to, be by your side. And of course, it sheds some light on like a real life thing that many people experience every day. Like PTSD is a really difficult diagnosis.
Hmm.
So, all around, I like that it's brought up and I think they brought it up well and discussed it well, but it's so sad to watch Ruby, and it's even sadder to watch Conrad twist all of it against her because like you said, he literally doesn't believe her, and that's like always the worst fear when you share something really vulnerable with someone.
It was so painful to rewatch this episode and watch the scene of her
Mhm.
opening up to him in the pub and, you know, telling him that she thinks she's in shock and is having PTSD. And just to see her like finally be able to open up and be vulnerable with someone about that, just to know that minutes from now he's going to completely betray her in the worst way possible. And she even says that she just is living in fight or flight and she's waiting for something
Mhm.
to go wrong. And he tells her that nothing's going to go wrong while she's with him. And just for her to have that moment and for it to all be completely taken away and then completely destroyed is so horrible and so painful. And I think a lot of us, just based off of the lives we've lived, are in fight or flight mode and are always waiting for something bad to happen. And to
Mhm.
see her talk about that was really, it was comforting in a way, to see someone talk about that and talk about that feeling and then have that bad thing happen, have the other shoe drop. Ugh, my heart just broke for her.
I know, my heart broke for her as well. And like everything leading up to this twist, it's like her moms were so excited. Like Carla and Louise were like in cahoots sending pictures. And getting excited and gathering at the table, and Cherry was checking out his Instagram. And yeah, Conrad is trash. We've said that a lot already, and we'll say it more throughout this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's just he's just like so bad, because it's not even that like he's this crazy guy or he's this guy that sucks. Like, no, he's a literal sociopath, because the way he acted was so convincing to Ruby. She didn't even suspect anything. And this is someone who's been dealing with paranoia and struggling with like kind of just like this mental load of like traveling with the doctor. And yeah, it's just mind-boggling. Yeah.
He is the perfect example of someone that is so blind to reality, who refuses to see the truth that's right there in front of him in his face, and makes everyone else believe what he believes, and blames all his problems on other people, on anything else,
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Ruby's family a little bit because, oh my gosh, I love Carla, Cherry, Louise so much. I was so excited to see them. I love the scene of Carla taking a picture of Ruby before she goes on her date. That just cemented even more for me that your mom is Carla.
No, she is Carla. It's also the way it's like Ruby was like, not with the flash, and Carla took the picture with the flash anyway. No, it was
and
great.
Cherry looking him up on Instagram. So good. So good.
So good. I want to know though, like, how I am not victim blaming. I want to be so clear on that. I am not victim blaming Ruby at all. But like, how did Cherry not stumble across, or how did like no one, even Unit, notice like the deal with this dude?
Okay, yes, because I have thought about this and the whole like podcast, like, wouldn't you know?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that like he had like two social media lives, and maybe the podcast wasn't like full on conspiracy theorist. Like, it's kind of what we saw of him talking about the doctor in the blue box and Unit, but he didn't go full on crazy on it, and he had just this kind of front to fool her, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point for sure. I also do have criticisms for Unit and how they did not like figure out sooner that one guy that infiltrated Jordan Lang. Like, how did the Vlinks? We need to talk about the Vlinks, by the way.
The
How did the
Blinks.
Vlinks not catch him until they were like, Vlinks, search all personnel to double check?
Look, I don't want to be a Vlinks hater, but what is the point of the Vlinks? Like, what does he do all day?
That's exactly what I want to know. Like, he literally evacuated at the end of this episode.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta go, guys. It's unsafe. Yeah. We're jumping around so much, guys. I'm sorry, but I love the cafe scene. And the moment where it gets really dark and the camera pans and we see the screech. Oh, such a good scene. Loved how it was directed. Moments like that and moments later on in the TARDIS scene, just really, again, I've already said it, making me a big Peter Horror fan. Like, I love it.
Oh, I'm obsessed with the directing in this episode. And like, that moment is so freaky, and it's so good. And Ruby tries to she gives him the antidote because he got the green goo on him. She shows him the video of the shriek. And yeah, that whole cafe scene I absolutely loved. I want to talk about some more specifics with Conrad, though, specifically the red flags that I've noticed.
Okay,
I don't know if you've noted any or not. I mentioned already the earring. Red flag number 2. He just like took a picture of Ruby secretly like a creep and posted it online, being like, who's this woman? So creepy the way he went about it.
Like, I hate that. People, stop doing that. Stop taking pictures and videos of people in public and posting it online. It's weird.
Another red flag. When he tells Ruby regarding his mom's death before we found out she's alive, ugh. But he's like, I've never talked about this to really anyone, Ruby. I was suspicious automatically. I just feel like that's such a, I don't
Yeah.
know, such a manipulative line people tend to use. But right after that, he says, I'm sorry, I'm not as cool as the doctor. What do you mean? Why are you bringing up the doctor?
So, yeah, and there's also a lot of love bombing, like right
Oh,
away.
yeah.
Like the way he's like, I thought that day with the doctor was my lucky day, but I think it's today. And, he,
Ick.
yeah. And he like tells her she's amazing and like says all these great things, and it seems to be going so good. Yeah.
Okay, skipping ahead to the pub. Ruby's with Conrad, his group of friends. Why don't you talk all about this moment?
Well, first I want to talk about when she calls Kate. Really
Mm-hmm.
loved that. Really, we see and feel the fear that she's seeing, as the lights start flickering. So I really enjoyed her conversation with Kate. This is also where we find out that Mel has gone to Sydney because of something weird happening in the water. I wonder what that
Mm,
is.
I wonder. I wonder if it has something to do with, the war between the land and the sea. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say I did actually kind of really miss Mel in this episode, and I really wanted
Yeah.
Ruby to have a moment with another former companion. I think it would have been really nice for her to have Mel here and be able to connect to a former companion. Honestly, anyone,
Yeah.
please
Like
show
Martha.
up.
Martha Jones.
Yeah,
She would be perfect.
literally. Also, so we get a little. I don't even know what to call it, but we get more of like Kate and Ibrahim. And I really like Ibrahim. I just don't need whatever it is they're trying to do with these two characters. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't like it. You know?
Personally, I think it's genuinely hilarious how upset a lot, like most people are about this pairing, which makes
Yeah.
me unironically want to kind of ship them just because it's annoying so many people.
That's so real. So real.
I don't care enough about them as a couple though. I don't know. I have always found that like so weird. Like just let them do their jobs. They don't need
Yeah.
any of that.
Like,
Um
don't make Kate date her employee. That's crazy.
yeah. But no, I agree with you. It whatever it is needs to happen off screen. Don't We don't need to see any of
We
that.
don't need it. No one wants it.
No.
No one asked for this.
No one did, but it is really funny watching people's reactions.
Okay, going back to the scene in the pub. I love seeing Ruby take charge, stepping up, telling everyone to stay inside. And I love her telling off that old man who's like, who put you in charge? And she's like, well, go outside then. Have fun.
Yeah.
No, I love it. What did you think when Conrad said that he didn't take the antidote?
Okay. So when I watched this episode originally, I was like, of course you didn't. Because I thought his whole thing was he wanted to be, better than the doctor. That was kind of my theory, that he wanted to be better than the doctor and wanted to show how cool he was. So I wasn't completely shocked about that, but I was really annoyed. And Ruby literally told him, she's like, you have no idea what you've done. And watching Ruby, like you said, take charge of everything and literally go outside to go after the so called Shriek, braver than me.
Oh, same. Yeah. Also, like, I knew from the first time watching this when he got the antidote, I was like, he's not taking that.
Yeah, like we didn't see him take it. He's not going to take it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your first watch was like, but when I first watched this episode, I did think that the so called Shriek were moving very human like. Did you notice that as well?
No, not at all. Didn't pick up on it at all. I watched Unleashed, and one thing they talked a lot about was how they had to make the Shriek costume and then like a bad but good version of the Shriek costume for Conrad's friends to wear. And that was really interesting to watch because they're like making a costume that's supposed to look good but also be bad and like not
Mm.
as good as the actual Shriek. So props to them because that's hard.
Yeah, that's really difficult. They did a good job. But yeah, like I noted, I'm like, they're moving human like, but I didn't think they were actually humans dressed up as the Shriek. I just thought I was noticing something that wasn't there.
Yeah, I was shocked when they stood up and took their
Oh, I was
masks
too.
off. Yeah.
Me too. I was so upset. And when they said boss, as soon as they said boss, I knew it was Conrad. But watching his face change and whole demeanor was
Oh,
actually diabolical to watch.
and Ruby being like, "What are you talking about?" That was crazy. And we find out basically he just doesn't believe anything that Unit is saying, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Aliens aren't real, Cybermen aren't real, the Sycorax aren't real." Which getting a Sycorax mention in 2025 was crazy, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you.
Thank you, RTD, for that mention. Okay, so I've gone back and forth both times watching this episode. I don't know if I believe truly that he doesn't believe in any aliens, anything. I think deep down there's some small part of him that knows at least part of it is real. I just don't know how
I think
present that
he's
is.
so delusional. He's so in his own reality that he is just, like the doctor even says, like he's just convinced himself of this in order to convince others and gain power in this following.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of dynamics at play. I definitely think the core of his motivation is just power. You know, like Ruby says, he's like a little kid who never got attention and he can't bear to be told no or to be called out. And I think he mostly believes what he's saying. I agree. I think he is very delusional, but I don't know. I think there's a tiny part of him, at least deep down, that knows that this is real, but he just refuses to accept that.
Yeah. Also, not every single unit employee getting doxxed.
That, oh my gosh. Okay. So many, okay, not so many questions, but just like one question. What about Donna and what about 14? Did they get doxxed? I'd assume so. Which one defended them, Donna or 14, do you think?
I think Donna and Wilf are like in the front, like fighting people off.
Like, also, I truly want to know, is 14 just like off the grid, no access to social media or current events? Like, has Donna taught him what she did pre Runaway Bride with just not noticing anything ever in relation to
Oh,
aliens invading?
they just keep missing everything. They're like, "Oh, there was almost a uprising at Unit. That's crazy. We missed that. Oh well."
I don't know. I just need to know what Donna was doing when that happened.
Me too. Me too. I really love Kate in this episode. I think this is one
Mm-hmm.
of the better Kate episodes that we've had in a while. I love when Conrad points the gun at Ruby and she says, "Don't you dare point a gun at her." So good. So good.
Oh, she was eating. It was like the best thing ever. I also love how at the end of this episode, Shirley tells Ruby, "Dang, you really collect moms everywhere you go."
She really does.
She
We love
does.
that for
But I love
her.
that for her.
Yeah. Shirley is so funny too. Like when
Mm-hmm.
Kate was telling Conrad, "You know why I didn't hire you?" And Shirley was like, maybe throw in a compliment in there." She was great. I want more
No, she
Shirley
was.
all the time, please.
Please, what are your thoughts on Unit and everything they have? Let's just call it their vault. What are your thoughts on the Unit vault?
I want to know what else is in that vault. I want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do miss when we were in the Tower of London and not Avengers
Yes.
Tower.
Thank you. I don't like the Avengers Tower. I think the Tower of London was so much cooler.
The only thing I like is having the easy access to the helicopter pad. I don't know why. I
Oh,
do think
true.
that's kind of nice. But no. Let's go back to the Tower of London, please.
Yeah, that was fun. That was like, I don't know, giving more of like mysterious kind of vibes from the general public. Now literally everyone knows that's the unit Avengers Tower.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, no, I also want to know what else is in the vault. I think there's definitely like ethic, like conversations
Hmm.
that could happen. I do find it interesting that they took the shriek captive and didn't even try returning it to its hive.
Well, Ruby says the shriek is from a pocket dimension, so I feel
Oh,
like that's something only the doctor would have been able to do.
good point. Good
Yeah.
point. But what other secrets are they hiding?
Yeah, we know the the toy maker's box is down there somewhere. And also maybe
Mm-hmm.
the master's tooth.
Yeah, I think Kate has the master's tooth. That's my truth.
Uh, Going back to Kate is just so iconic, and I love how crazy she gets and how she's like, I'm glad the doctor's not here because then he would stop me from doing this, and she just unleashes the shriek on him. It's so good. And she taunts him. Ooh, the speech, the acting, so good.
It was actually insane to watch. I did not expect Kate to do all that and let the shriek bite Conrad, which was deserved. And it was so interesting how like everyone at unit thought she went too far. And when I
Hmm.
was watching this episode, I was like, she's going really far. But then
Yeah.
I really thought about it and I'm like, I do think she went too far. And I do think like if she continuously does stuff like this, it's definitely a problem. But if this is like a one off, I get it because he insulted and undermined everyone. He doxed all of her employees. He insulted her father. He insulted
Hmm.
Ruby. And I think that's a big component too. Is it she's not just fighting this like crappy guy, she's fighting this guy who hurt Ruby really bad.
He came after everything she has built and everything she
Mm-hmm.
stands for. And it's her job to protect people. We've talked a lot about how she takes that really seriously. We even see her
Mm-hmm.
care about Jordan Lane, even though she knows he was a spy on the inside. And yeah, he came after her people. So her going off on him, I think, was pretty justified. And if
Mm-hmm.
you've seen Classic Who, the Brigadier has done similar things. You know, he popped off once in a while, so it makes sense.
And honestly, like she's in a really difficult position because she's kind of functioning as a pseudo doctor when he's gone
Mm.
from Earth. If you really think about it, the doctor was not happy at the end of this episode, and pre 14, that man would have stuck Conrad in a mirror.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Like, I don't want to know what 9 or 10 or 12 would have done with Conrad.
I think the scariest would have been the ninth doctor. I'm gonna just be so real.
That's a speech I would have loved to watch.
Oh, it would have been so good.
Yeah.
So we have a return of a classic Doctor Who universe character. And by I don't mean classic Who, I mean new Who. Trinity Wells.
Yes, Trinity Wells. And it seems like Trinity Wells has kind of drank the Kool-Aid, and she is, kind of on the side of the crazies, because we saw her in the
Yeah.
giggle, with the whole, I forget, the armband bracelet thing. And that one we could excuse, the giggle, it's making everyone crazy. But here
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, okay, she's just gone crazy.
Honestly, I'm hoping she's just weirdly possessed by the toy maker, just like some side effects
Residual
from the
toy maker
giggle.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah, some residual energy, and then she'll turn back to iconic status because I don't want to watch her trash her reputation.
I know, it's very sad. I really love the scene again at the end of the episode between Ruby and Kate, where Ruby talks about how she's just been in limbo, which again
Mm-hmm.
is something I really connected to, and how she's just, talking about how hard it's been since she left the doctor and how she just needs to get away and do something on her own. And I'm really excited to see her again, hopefully in the finale, and
Yeah.
see how she's doing and what she's been up to since Lucky Day.
Yeah, I really hope that she gets into a really good spot and a really good groove and she's able to find herself again.
Mhm. Okay, the doctor showing up in the jail cell, having the TARDIS materialize around Conrad was so cool, and I love the moody lighting in the scene and the
Yes.
angled camera shots. It looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah. 15 read him to filth, and the classic Time Lord Victorious
Mhm.
was starting to seep out of 15, and it's really good to see that again.
Yeah.
I mean, not
No,
good because of the circumstances, but like good to watch Shooty do that speech.
yeah, Shooty's really good at playing these kind of darker, more manipulative aspects of the Doctor, and we saw a hint of it in Joys
Mm-hmm.
of the World, and we've been getting little bits and pieces of it throughout the season, and I just love it. It's really just showing how strong he is as an actor and how strong a grip he has on this character. I can't get over it. He's great.
Yeah. Him saying to Conrad, "You have to be invited into my TARDIS. You have to be special, but you're special for all the wrong reasons."
Mm,
And then he's talking about how he's like in this battle of trying to like protect Earth, basically. And he's like, then along comes this noise. Cowards like you are exhausting. But the thing is, Conrad, I have energy to burn. And all the time in the universe, you betrayed my friend. Oh,
so good. And then we find out that Conrad is the one who told the Doctor about Belinda because
I
we talked.
screamed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was shocked. I gasped out loud. Because yeah, if you don't remember in the robot revolution, the Doctor tells Belinda that a man told him about her, and we, guessed or tried to guess who that man was gonna be. And it being Conrad was such a crazy twist and really
Mm-hmm.
unexpected. And I loved that. And I'm curious to see what comes of that and what that means going forward.
Yeah, because I definitely feel like we're going to see Conrad again. This isn't a
Mm-hmm.
character who's just going to drop off from the show.
And then I love how the Doctor says, "You want spoilers?" and tells him that
Mm,
he dies at 49 in a prison cell. And Conrad just saying, "I reject your reality," is again just such a good example of how delusional he is and how he just refuses to accept reality and truth and makes up pretty much whatever he wants. Yeah, and then he tells the Doctor to get off his planet, and it's crazy. The writing of this character is really well done because we all just know exactly who this guy is. We've all met this guy, know this guy, I've seen
hmm.
this guy online, and I think they've written him really well.
Yeah, and I just have to give props to Jonah Hauer King. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. So sorry, Jonah, if I pronounced it wrong, but I just have to give props to his performance because he did an excellent job being a villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
you did your job right when I hate you.
No, he played it so well, playing the like lovesick boyfriend in the beginning and then turning
Mm-hmm.
into this. Absolutely insane.
So at the end of 15's moment, 15 also tells him, "The world gets better. You're just a footnote, just
Mm.
ashes on the wind." That line goes so hard and really stuck out to me. And then 15 just snaps, and Conrad is back in his prison cell away from the TARDIS. And do you want to know what that snap in the TARDIS reminded me of? Who it reminded me of?
River Song.
Yes.
River Song, you will never die. First, we had
No,
spoilers dropped, then the snap. River Song lives on.
she's
That
haunting
was
the
so cool.
narrative.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was such a cool moment. I loved that. Another direction choice that I am absolutely obsessed with. I think that was so cool, and not enough people are talking about it.
No, I completely agree with you.
And then, of course, who shows up? None other than Mrs. Flood. Are we shocked? No. So something interesting that she says something about how big the TARDIS is. Like, oh, isn't it so big? So we know she's been in the TARDIS before.
Wait, I didn't even think about that. You're so right.
So I guess that's a clue. I have my theory just based off of not even like evidence, just what I think Russell's going to do.
Same.
Yeah. She also says that she's the governor. Okay.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Girl, what are you doing letting Conrad out?
Yeah.
All in all, really solid episode.
Yes.
Heartbreaking to watch on behalf of Ruby, but everyone just did so well. This episode, everyone's performances were insane. They were so good. My last thoughts are this. Ruby Sunday needs to play Red Taylor's version from start to finish, the entire album.
So true.
You just, you need that. And she was low-key doctor coded when she was going after the Shriek earlier in the episode because she was talking to herself, and she even said, I sound like the doctor. And I just had to mention that.
Yeah, completely agree. I loved seeing Ruby again. It was so nice to see her. I love Ruby. I always have. Unit was great. I loved seeing Kate. She was great in this episode. And Conrad, you are the smallest man who's ever lived.
So, Rebecca, what's the heart of the episode?
The heart of the episode is that you should never trust a man with a podcast.
And you're correct about that.
They cannot be trusted. Stay away. It's not worth it.
No, it's not. Also, there's a podcast epidemic that needs to be addressed. There needs to be laws. And yes, I know we have a podcast, but we started ours before the epidemic really started to become problematic. Well, we're reframing the narrative for our podcast, but if you're not a Doctor Who related podcast, stop creating podcasts. Lay off the mic.
There are too many podcasts. We are part of the problem, but yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it's different if you're a Doctor Who podcast. If you're a Doctor Who podcast, I don't care. Any other podcasts, please just set the mic down.
Yeah. We're good. Who's the star of the show?
I gotta give it to Ruby Sunday. I can't give it to anyone else.
No.
Kate is a close second, but Ruby, she deserves the star of the show.
She does. Millie Gibson, the actress you are, Hall of Fame, so good. Yeah, it can only go to Ruby. Do we have any reviews for this episode?
Yes, we sure do. And both of the reviews are from Reddit. And this first one put it perfectly. This is by the user C. Ethan Crowell on the Doctor Who subreddit, and they said, quote, I didn't expect that. I was shocked, disgusted, and I haven't hated a character this much in a very long time. That's all, end quote.
Nailed it.
And this last review I have is by the user Hucknar, and they are also from the Doctor Who subreddit, and they said, quote, that was absolutely fantastic. Very strong character writing, great dialogue, and a powerful commentary on society. Probably my favorite of this season, and this really could have been an episode during the series 1 to 4 run. Loved that it explored these characters further and the impact the Doctor has on people. The Shriek was a great monster too, nothing too fancy, but dang did Ruby's description telling Conrad what it does give me a chill. Great design, special effects, and cinematography there.
Yeah, we did not talk enough about that cafe scene. Millie's performance in that is really good. And yeah, it does really make you scared of the Shriek. And I wouldn't mind a whole episode just, going back to them, But I also kind of appreciate having an episode where there's a new alien, but they're not really the focus. You know what I mean?
Oh, I completely agree. I think that's a really fun take, that it's more of a background character than it is the main plot. And I like things switching up every now and then to be different.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that is it for us discussing Lucky Day. Like we both said, I enjoyed this episode and I know you enjoyed it too. And I was about to say I'm excited for next week's episode. I am and I'm not. I don't like spiders. I will try to keep most of that to myself next week, but no guarantees. Just warning you guys now.
Pray for the arachnophobes. Like, we're rooting for you guys. You will get through this. We believe in you. 4 for 4, guys. 4 out of 4 episodes. And they've been really strong. Kind of crazy.
Actually insane, and I can't wait. I am looking forward that we have a completely new writer coming onto the scene next week, and I am looking forward to that. And going to Nigeria with the doctor, I think that will be super cool as well.
Yeah, I can't wait. If you guys saw or like predictive rankings, I put next week's episode as the one I was most looking forward to, so I'm really excited to see what happens. But we will talk to you guys next week with the story and the engine. And until then, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at timeywimeypod.
And email us comments, theories, anything and everything to timeyWimeyPod@gmail.com. And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.